It started as a whisper, just a quiet murmur floating through the corridors of Westminster. But now it's turned into a full-blown roar. Is King Charles really preparing to strip Keir Starmer of his knighthood? You heard that right. The same man at the helm of a crumbling government, buried in scandal, backpedals, and betrayal, might soon lose one of the highest honors this country can bestow. Nothing has been formally announced yet. Let's be clear about that. But rumors like this don't grow out of thin air. There's usually some smoke behind the scenes when the fire is this loud. So, what's got Buckingham Palace whispering and the British public buzzing? Let's rewind the tape. Keir Starmer was knighted back in 2014, back when he was Director of Public Prosecutions. On paper, it sounds impressive. In reality, it was a mixed bag, to put it politely. During his tenure, Starmer greenlit one of the most controversial witch hunts in recent memory, Operation Elvedon. Under his watch, journalists were aggressively prosecuted, their lives dragged through the mud, their careers crushed. Most of them were acquitted. But the damage was done. Integrity? That chapter in his career left a nasty stain that never quite washed out. Still, many on the left held up his knighthood like a badge of moral superiority, as if the Queen's tap on the shoulder was proof of virtue. But fast forward to today, and that shine has worn off. Fast, let's just call it like it is. Since becoming Labour leader, what exactly has Sir Keir delivered?
U-turns? Plenty.
Broken promises? By the dozen. He promised bold leadership and instead gave us bureaucratic paralysis. The country's screaming for direction, and all we've got is a man who changes course more often than the British weather. Remember when he pledged to abolish tuition fees? That was Starmer in 2020, with all the fanfare. But when it came time to deliver, U-turn. Then there was nationalizing key industries. Another promise thrown under the bus. Tough talk on illegal immigration? That aged like milk. Channel crossings have hit record numbers, and Labour's shiny new Home Secretary seems more interested in appeasing the Twitter crowd than securing Britain's borders. People didn't vote Labour hoping for more lectures and identity politics. They voted for change, for a return to the party's working-class roots. But what did they get instead? A metropolitan elite that speaks in buzzwords, spins in circles, and seems to actively ignore the real issues plaguing ordinary Brits. Inflation may technically be slowing, but you'd never guess it's standing in a checkout line. Working families are still bleeding money while the Labour government is busy renaming streets and rewriting history textbooks. Where's the focus on jobs? On housing? On crime? On real, tangible problems? And still, we're supposed to stand back and honor this. Now, before the Labour loyalists lose their minds and start screaming about precedent, let's talk about that. Because there is precedent. Honors have been revoked before. Let's roll the tape. Fred Goodwin, once a knighted banking darling, stripped of his title after the 2008 crash wrecked the economy. Anthony Blunt, fancy art historian who turned out to be a Soviet spy, revoked. Harvey Weinstein, Rolf Harris, Jimmy Savile, all gone. No one is saying Starmer's done anything criminal, but the principle still applies. If someone abuses the public's trust or fails to meet the standards that came with their honors, the Crown has every right to say, thanks, but no thanks. And make no mistake, Starmer's failures aren't abstract. The cracks are already showing, and Labour just got into power. Jobs are being sacrificed on the altar of net zero zealotry. Gender politics is creeping into school curriculums with government backing. Criminals are roaming free while regular citizens get hounded online for speaking their mind. Britain feels leaderless. And the man supposedly in charge sounds like he's reading from a legal brief while the house is on fire. People expected a reboot. A new chapter. Instead, they're getting a sequel to the same elitist nonsense they thought they'd left behind with the Tories. And in some ways, Labour's version might be even more tone-deaf. When whispers start swirling about King Charles possibly yanking that knighthood, it doesn't feel outrageous. It feels overdue, because here's what the ruling class doesn't seem to grasp. The public mood is changing. The anger isn't just on the internet. It's in the pubs, the buses, the football stands, the family kitchens. People feel conned. They feel ignored. And they're watching a man with Sir in front of his name pretend everything's fine while the country unravels at the seams. When a politician holds one of the highest titles in the land, the bare minimum expectation is leadership, integrity,
Clarity.
Starmer's delivered none of that. What we've got instead is a weather vane in a suit. Whichever way the wind blows, that's where he'll point. So the question isn't, should King Charles consider it? The question is, why wouldn't he? Honors are meant to reflect actual honor, not careerism, not cowardice, not broken promises. Starmer had his chance. He had every opportunity to show vision, strength, backbone. And what did he show us instead? Weakness, vagueness, and a willingness to trade principle for popularity. Now it's the public asking the question the establishment doesn't want to hear. Why is this man still called Sir? Maybe it's time we redefined what it means to deserve an honor in this country. Because at this point, the title Sir Keir Starmer sounds less like an accolade and more like a punchline. If you're tired of watching the same scripted nonsense from legacy media and want to hear the voices that actually reflect what Britain's feeling right now, do us a favor, like this video, subscribe, and become part of a community that's had enough.
No spin. No PR fluff.
Just the truth. This is your country. Time to take it back.